What's up guys, how you all doing? Cosmic Carry here, bringing another World Tanks video, and today I want to discuss the UI, the menus that we have when we are in garage. I call it a garage even though it's not a garage. The facts and figures that are presented to you, how they are presented, the menus, and are they important, are they not important? This is coming from a person who's been playing the game for 5 odd years. Of course, this is just my opinion. Feel free to disagree, absolutely 100%. I get the impression that some of this stuff was designed by people who are good at designing stuff, possibly maybe, but don't necessarily understand the game, don't play the game, and I'm trying not to be derogatory or put anybody down, absolutely 100%. But there is a lot of stuff in here that's pointless, and there's a lot of repetition, and for a brand new player, I think it would be just information overload, and it would possibly maybe put a large percentage of them off playing the game, because you just wouldn't be able to figure things out. And for a person such as myself, when it comes to some of the information, I'm left scratching my head. You know, why is this here? Why is that not there? And you know, yeah. So anyhow, when we're in garage, the first thing you presented with, you can see I've got the T57 up on screen, is on the right hand side. You have figures for firepower, survivability, mobility, concealment, spotting. Firepower 49 does not mean anything to me, a player who's been playing the game for 5 odd years. That figure right there does not mean anything to me whatsoever. Nothing. Zero. You know, if I were to put this tank up against the Death Star, I'm sure the Death Star would have, I don't know, 89. You know, doesn't mean anything to me still. You know, 100%. Survivability 64. How you got to that figure, I haven't got a clue. And again, I'm not being negative or derogatory or putting anybody down. Please don't take this the wrong way. If I am reaching the people that I'm supposed to be reaching, these figures mean nothing to me whatsoever. You know, and these figures have been in the game since the start. I think at the start, the figures weren't represented by an actual number. There was just a bar, you know, going across, and that was it. Mobility 17 doesn't mean anything. Concealment, yes, you know, I kind of look at the concealment of my E25 when I'm getting something, a new TD for instance, a new scout tank, and I kind of compare the two, so I get an understanding of how, you know, well the camo values are of the thing, you know, compared to an E25. I think the concealment rating of an E25 is 69, 70, something along those lines. Spotting 89. I'm guessing this is view range. I haven't got a clue. Again, 89. It doesn't mean anything to me. You know, so the first thing when you're scrolling through your tanks to you is a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo information that you don't really need. You know, that doesn't need to be in the game. That's cluttering the screen, in my personal opinion. Again, you know, in my personal opinion, that's all that it is. So if we take a look at the packages, this is kind of cool but not cool, because it's kind of repeated when you actually look at the packages of the T57. The name of the engine, Continental AV7090, you know, the gun 120, gun T179, you know, this is just, it's not really needed. You know, again, it's kind of like, it's clutter. Not here to be minimalistic or something like that, but it's not really needed. You know, it's here. We can see the names of the packages of the engine of the gun, or you know. So yeah, again, like I said, it's anyhow. Engine information 810 horsepower. That doesn't really mean anything. You know, if we don't know the weight of the thing, the horsepower to ton ratio, and all of that jazz, and the speed, and the saying just 810 horsepower. Again, I'm not trying to be derogatory. it doesn't mean anything, you know. It could be 810 horsepower on a light tank. It could be 810 horsepower on the mouse. It doesn't mean anything, you know. This is my go-to information when it comes to my gun. Absolutely, you know, it's straight and to the point. 258 pen, 340 and 60 on my HE. You know, this is concise, precise, 100%. This is information that I need to know. Absolutely. But it is very odd that currently, I don't know if this has been a thing always, but on all the autoloaders, the ones that I checked anyway, I checked at least 5 or 6 of them, there's no reload time figure, which is kind of odd, which is kind of weird. There is on, you know, the regular tanks, but here above the pen there should be a reload time, you know, or shots per minute or whatever it is, and there's no info. Whatever I look up in terms of autoloaders, whether it be the Crown Van or the T57 or the Waffentrager E100, there's no figure for how long it takes to reload the gun, which is kind of odd. Maybe I'm missing something, maybe I'm not, maybe I don't know. But this is straight and to the point information. This is what we want, precise information. Of course, with RNG, you never get to, oh well, you do once in a blue moon, I'm guessing. 258 pen, 400 damage. RNG goes 25% less or 25% more. So, but you want the average. So the average is 258, 400 damage. It would be nice to know DPM. I know DPM, you just multiply, you know, shots per minute times damage, and that you get DPM. But what's the harm of having the figure, you know, the DPM figure in game? And we've been around for 5 years, and they can't put that in. I would love to know my DPM of each and every tank. Track information, 30 degrees, that's good to know. You know, that's, if it's 30, if it's 40, you know if that's quick, if that's fast, if that's slow, you know. Turret information, that's good, that's decent, you know. Of course, you know, 152, it doesn't tell you how angled that is. You just have to go into the armor viewer and have a look and all of that jazz. Turret traverse speed, view range, that's good information. Radio range, it is what it is, but you know, nobody really cares about radio range. Nobody really trains their skills and perks to improve their radio range, again, in my personal opinion. So if we go back and we press Y, you know, we get a bit of a history lesson, as you can see there, of the tank, which is nice, which is neat. Why not? Absolutely. And we move over to modules, and the right hand row of information, firepower, survivability and mobility, is expanded upon, elaborated upon. And as we can see, firepower 49, you get 2 bits of information, which is your standard shell damage and your near penetration. And what is that? You know, what is that? That is basically your standard shell damage. Your regular shells are doing 400 damage, your premium shells are doing 400 damage, and your HE shells are doing, I think, 550. I can't remember how much it was. That is the damage of those 3 shells added up and divided by the number of shells. So 400 plus 400 plus 550, whatever it was, divided by 3 different shells, divided by 3, and you get that number, 438. That's exactly what they're doing with near penetration. They're working out the average damage of 3 shells combined, the average pen of all 3 shells combined. Why would you need that information? I haven't got a clue. I haven't got the faintest clue. What can I do with that bit of information? Absolutely nothing. Have I ever seen a review of a tank on YouTube where they said, you know, the average penetration of all 3 shells is this much, the average damage of all 3 shells is this much? Absolutely not. You know, this is 100% pointless, trivial information that is not needed, that clutters the screen. Survivability 64. Like I said, it doesn't mean anything. Armor depth. I'm not trying to be derogatory here. 13 to 229. I mean, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. 13. You know, the armor on the headlamp is 13. And your turret armor is 229. And, you know, that's the armor depth of this. What information is this supposed to give me? You know, and right below that it says hit points. We finally come across hit points. And this is the only location where you find hit points. Hit points are vital. They're important. You want to know how much your hit points are on that particular tank. You want to compare it to another tank. And yet, in all the menus, it's only located in this one position here. You know, we have come across 2 locations so far where they're discussing penetration and damage, but yet hit points has only been mentioned once so far. You know, mobility, max speed. We haven't come across max speed, right? No, we've come across engine power 810. Second time now. Second time engine power has been mentioned, and second time we're not sure what is that supposed to give us, you know, in terms of informing us about our tank, in terms of us getting to know our tank. My tank has 810 horsepower. My tank has... Well, nobody says these things. So, yeah. So, concealment. Again, you know, stationary, moving. Yeah, if you're comparing an E25, you know, to some other TD at tier 7, you know, spotting 89, view range 400. This is the second place we're mentioning view range. We had it in the previous menu, so now it's being mentioned again, and signal range and radio range. So why are we having repetition of figures? You know, there's no need for it. Just keep it in one location, and that way you don't clutter the screen for us seasoned players, and you don't put off the new players. This is important. UI, menus, you want them to be as clutter free as possible and give you information that is straight and to the point and concise and accurate and all of that jazz. So we move on to engine. Horsepower 810. This is the third time they're mentioning horsepower. Third time. Why? I must sound like a naggy so and so, but this is what the video is about. What can I say? 810. This is the third time they're mentioning horsepower. Finally, we get power to weight ratio. You know, we need this figure. This tells you a lot. You know, power to weight ratio. Top forward speed. We've had this already. Second location. Again, repetition of information. Top reverse speed. 12 kilometers per hour. We need this, but why wasn't it mentioned in the first place? And etc, etc. Fire charts, we need this information. 20%, absolutely. And here are the stats on the gun. This is the third location where a lot of these stats are kind of repeated. What do we look? Aim time. This is the second time aim time is mentioned. Accuracy. This is the second time it's mentioned. Accuracy on a moving tank. Accuracy on a rotating turret. This stuff is important. 100%. But again, all this information should be in one spot, not in 2 different locations. This is all vital information, absolutely. Max elevation, max depression, shots per clip, intra-clip reload. Again, no reload time is mentioned, 100%. Important information, 100%. But all information about the gun should be really located in just one place. Track. Degrees per second 30, yes please. Terrain resistance, yes please. But again, like with this, you know, repetition. This was mentioned. 400 degrees view range was mentioned here, to the right, and in the previous menu. You know, 3 different areas. You don't need. There's too much clutter, basically. Again, all the information should be really, honestly, just stored here. Truth be told. Absolutely 100%. At least get rid of the bar on the right hand side where you have near penetration and survivability and all of that stuff. I mean, it's not really needed. When it comes to the ammunition, and you've got that range, that RNG range, you can see penetration 194 to 323. We like to look at this once in a blue moon. So this is the second place where it's located. It's also located when you go to your ammo loadout and you have the full range of the penetration of the gun, and the penetration of the shell, and the full range of the damage of the shell, you know, plus minus 25%. But it's not needed in two different locations. More often than not, we just want the average, you know, the average damage, it's 400. So having the average in one location, but the range in two different locations, you know, it doesn't mesh, it doesn't gel with our needs when it comes to tank info and all of that jazz. Crew, yes, 100%. We'd like to know. The nerdy tankers like to know, you know, where to shoot it so you can take out the commander and all of that jazz. Absolutely, 100%. And armor, I know that, you know, in the update, the next update, there's going to be improvements made to the armor viewer. How far will they go? I do not know, but this is definitely, you know, it gives you a lot of information, 100%, but it doesn't at the same time. So any improvements are welcome and all of that jazz. And that's all I've got to say. You know, a lot of pointless information, a lot of junk, a lot of stuff that could go, that should go, in my personal opinion. And yeah, it is what it is. Take it easy, guys. Adios, muchachos.